Wow, those wild card games, four were outstanding in the first round of the MLB playoffs, including our Boston Red Sox. Welcome to Red Sox Now, presented by FanArch. I'm Mike Antonellis here right on YouTube. Subscribe before we go any further. We'll do the comments at the end. A lot of you are new, I can tell by the comments, so welcome aboard. Thank you for joining us. We will talk Red Sox baseball, of course, an epic night, but an overall home run for Major League Baseball. The four games I thought were outstanding. Yes, I watched almost all four. I could not quite stay up for the Dodger game. Ohtani hit 2 home runs. I saw that first home run. Unbelievable. Skubal was fantastic. I told many of you I was not buying Cleveland, but it was only a 2-1 game. Skubal gave up 3 infield hits. He was unbelievable. The Cubs bullpen is really good, and the Red Sox game was fantastic. I love this format. Instant drama, instant theater, and once again, for the Red Sox, you could not script this out any better. If this was a movie, and I was watching the game last night, my little niece had a birthday, and my brother-in-law's a Yankee fan. We had the game on. We're watching it. And my brother-in-law, my dad, 3 of us are watching it. And in that 9th inning, I just said to him, like, if this was a movie, it would be ridiculous. Okay, so the Yankees load the bases, and then Chapman gets out of it. Right? I mean, the theater in that first game. And I just love when the sports we love become compelling TV and entertainment. Like, I'm thinking and it has to be that, not just for us, but if you were a general fan watching that baseball, all of them yesterday, the product was really good. That was a unbelievable, epic game between 2 rivals last night, 2 former players who were managers, and a lot to dive into. But the bottom line is this, and it's something that I talked about a lot, pitching, right? We still wear the offensive colored glasses. I don't understand why. You are seeing already Detroit won 2-1. Who cares if they didn't score a lot of runs? The Cubs 3-1. So what? They beat a good Padres offense. Dodgers gave up some runs, but they scored 10. That's a different machine. But Snell was pretty damn good, struck out 9. You can be built the way the Red Sox are. They've got challenges offensively at times because they've had injuries. But I was impressed. I mean, think about the lineup that they ran out last night. What were some of you thinking? I give Alex Cora credit. He knows his players, and he stuck with that right-handed hitting lineup. And here's the thing that we've always talked about. You can make changes. You're allowed to. Now, conversely, Yankee fans were not happy. Jazz Chisholm was not happy. I think maybe it's a little bit different on the other side. Who knows? He was mad he didn't start. Ben Rice not playing. You know, Yankees are taking some criticism, but it was Crochet on the mound. And it worked for one, it didn't work for the other. But the way you're built for short series, you can have more success. And man, was that fun. Absolutely a blast. Crochet is a beast. You know, you look at it, and he did have some, there were some pockets of trouble, but I think I want a lot of you to throw that stuff out in postseason. Here's why. You're facing a good team. That's it. So you're going to give up more hits maybe than you did to some others. But the fact that he rolled into Yankee Stadium against a good lineup and shoved. First postseason outing, it didn't matter to him. His stuff is off the charts. Off the charts. Dominated, completely dominated. I love how Alex Cora did this. I love that he kept him in there. I loved it. Every second of it. My dad and I did not agree with the Chapman move. My dad did not like them bringing Chapman in there. I did. I don't care. I don't care that Eduardo Perez said, "Oh, you're bringing a guy in that's, they're not used to that." So what? That's tough. Tough love. Suck it up. Listen, I don't want to hear that. And I don't mean to be so over the top about this, but if you're going to tell me that Aroldis Chapman cannot come in with 2 outs in the 8th inning and get Jose Cabrera out, then you're going to have a problem. I want my best guy in that spot. You're winning 2-1. I don't care that he's the 9th hitter. I don't want to have regrets. Say you bring in Whitlock and he hangs a slider and he homers and ties the game. Certainly Whitlock could have come in that spot and got out. To me, it's all hands on deck. And I told you guys this, and gals, you play game 1 like an elimination game. Leaving Crochet out there like they did, uncharted territory, didn't matter. His stuff, and Cora said the same thing on the postgame. The stuff was fine. That's what you got to look at. He still hit 99 at the end. And even if Chapman gave it up in the 8th, I still wouldn't care because I'm not one of those who cherry picks and likes the moves only when they work. A lot of you do that. Oh, not you, but a lot of fans do that. They blame Cora when the moves don't work because you don't know, right? Like it's easy to say. We always think that the alternate option would have worked. We always think that. The alternate option has never given up a hit or a run. Have you noticed that? Never. Has an ERA of 0. So in that spot, for your team, I love the aggressive of keeping Crochet in there. I was all for that. I didn't care. It's a 2 games to win. But to me, on the road, you got to win that first game no matter what. And I loved it. And I know Chapman gave up 3 hits in the 9th. I still don't care. And I heard Eduardo Perez. It's Goldschmidt, Judge, and Bellinger. The stuff was fine. I had 2 people text me saying, like, his stuff's not good. He threw 19 of 24 pitches for strikes. He always starts off throwing with less velocity. He had 72% strike rate on his 4-seam fastball. Topped out at 99. His sinker, he threw 2 of those. He topped out at 101. His slider, 4 for 4 strike. How about this? So his slider, splitter, and sinker went 7 for 7 with strikes. Everything, all the things that I'm looking at here with his stuff was fantastic. Crochet as well. 90% strike rate on a sinker. The pitch he's throwing a lot more. He topped out at 98. 4-seam fastball, 53% strikes, but he used some of those fastballs on purpose out of the zone. Topped out at 98. With his sinker, he topped out at 100. With his 4-seam fastball, 99. He sat 96 to 98 with his fastball all night. 77% strikes on his cutter. 70% strikes on his sweeper. And threw 7 changeups and had a 29% strike rate. But yeah, I know if Chapman gives it up there, we blame the move. The single from Goldschmidt, 82 off the bat. Single from Chapman, from Judge, 116 off the bat. Makes sense. And then the Bellinger had 87 miles per hour exit velocity. Now, so I'm not, we could watch the game and tell those weren't hard hit, but that's why you bring in a guy like that. And how did he handle that? Did he look any different? Nope. How did he go about everyone else? Fine. Strikes out Stanton. They had that weird play in right. I am assuming that I didn't see anything, and if you did, let me know. I'm assuming that Rafaela never called for it. When Abreu ran over, I mean, unless Abreu didn't hear him, but that was scary. That would have been an awful way for the game to be tied, or at least one run. And then Grisham struck out to win the ball game. Red Sox stay under that 10 strikeouts. That's been a magic number for them. Yankees strike out 13 times, but it's not surprising when you have Crochet and Chapman. Now, conversely, I feel the same way if I was a Yankee fan. I don't know what happened with Max Fried. Maybe Max Fried said, I need to come out. I don't know. I doubt it. But I would have let him go longer. I second guess that because of the situation. This is where not everything to me is not black and white. It's gray. The Yankees gave up 2 earned runs in their last 33 innings out of their bullpen, but it's not been their strong suit for most of the year. Max Fried walks Rafaela. He gets Duran, and they take Luke Weaver out to face Rafaela and Sogard. Luke Weaver's been good. That, to me, I would rather. I would think if you asked the Red Sox who they'd rather face, they'd probably say Luke Weaver over Max Fried. So in that situation, I get it. You had Rafaela up. I wouldn't have done that. I would have rode out my ace a little bit more, unless he's told him in the dugout, I got one more hitter. We don't know that. And Aaron Boone's not going to say that. Managers will never, ever do that. But that I second guess because even at the time I was saying, just leave him in there. And that was the difference. Your bullpen was better. Nick Sogard, unbelievable night. Doubled, and then Yoshida off the bench. I think Yoshida's up to speed, right? Missing all that time. Missing spring training, no rehab, 12 rehab at-bats, and the game-winning hit. And then you added that big run in the ninth. Huge. Huge. Story gets that 2-out hit, and then his speed. The little things in this game were huge, right? You were able to run in that situation, and then Bregman comes through. Your bullpen was better. The starters were washed. This is exactly what we talked about yesterday. The Yankees can match you with starting pitching. And I felt the bullpen had the edge. The Red Sox bullpen had the edge. And they did. And they had one more big hit. And then, conversely, the Red Sox rolled with Eaton and Sogard, where the Yankees kind of did the same thing, and there's more pushback. I think it's because you're sitting Chisholm and Rice. I don't think that's the same players as sitting Abreu, Lowe, or Yoshida, because Romy and Refsnyder and Eaton were the runs replacing them. But you could see what the Red Sox wanted too. If you're asking why Sogard, it's defense. Not that Romy can't play second. They wanted Romy to play over Lowe, so they figured, let's put Romy at first. And we want a really good defender. And Eaton's really good in right. And the base running by those two were outstanding. Outstanding. That was an epic, for a wild card game. Excuse me. Amazing. This is why you make these moves. There is so much chatter and wasted air about the deadline. Connolly Early was a guy the Red Sox refused to trade at the deadline. Detroit went all in at the deadline. How did they play the rest of the year? Like I've said many, many times, and a lot of you knew, I don't want my executive to have to go into the deadline like last year to find players to be more competitive. I want those players to enhance my team. Now, they weren't great this year. We know that. They still got low. Wasn't a deadline move. But I'd rather be stronger before that. And you saw it was very symbolic. And again, if Netflix had done it, man, they really missed out. Your 3 big prizes in the offseason all factored in that game last night. You'll never, ever get me to change my mind on giving up too much for Crochet. I don't care. I said it at the time. I didn't care that there were question marks about Crochet. They weren't question marks to me. You did not have an arm like that. You didn't. And you hadn't had an arm like that. You had Sale, but this was a different creature. And trading prospects where you could go out and buy those, I still don't care. I don't care if all 4 if they all make all-star teams next year. Good. White Sox are clapping their hands, and people are applauding them. That's great. They lost 100 games again. That's 2 straight years. Couldn't they have just kept Crochet and signed him long term? I don't think he wanted to be there. I think but regardless, most executives would have kept him, and they would have went out and made moves for position players. It was the best offseason move. I said it at the time. This is not a Monday morning quarterback. It was worth 6 prospects. It is. Because if you get to the next round, you're in the playoffs because of him. He's a huge reason. And you won game 1 last night in New York because of him. Not just because, but he is, I'll put 70% or whatever. It doesn't matter. And just signing Chapman when anyone could have. I think he wanted to be here. And that's no doubt a spot the Red Sox, we wanted to see them step up. And they did, spending. In the Bregman move. Those 3 were 3 big ticket items that you did in the offseason. There was rumors that the Mets were in on Crochet. And they were unwilling to give up pitching prospects. Big mistake. Big mistake. But that's why you made those moves. Those were moves to win. An ace, a Hall of Fame closer, and a Hall of Fame third baseman. And they all factored in that game last night. Fantastic. And even, you signed Nate Eaton. You kept Nick Sogard. And give credit to the regime previous with Heim. Refsnyder, Story, Romy, Abreu, Sogard. Sogard was a minor league trade. Rafael is under his watch. Duran, people forget about, I know Duran went over, but I'm just talking in general. Heim stuck with Duran. Duran went through some bad stuff, as we remember, and he stuck with him. Abreu, we know, is a trade. But I am chomping at the bit for all the game 2s. By the way, I absolutely love that Major League Baseball did this with the schedule. And I had a lot of people send me some feedback about it, liking it too. I don't think I've ever seen this. Every single game in this series is the same game time. That makes so much sense. That's why I'm surprised that they're doing this. I don't know how it would have worked if... Could you have had... Yeah, you could have had Seattle. Could you have all West Coast teams, right? I wonder what they... If they had all West Coast teams, I wonder how that would have worked. Right? Could they have had all West Coast teams? Potentially, right? No, they could not. They could, right? If Toronto and Cleveland, I guess, yeah, Seattle. Yeah, you'd have to have Houston, Texas. Yeah, like the whole West make it. Regardless, if they had 3, I wonder how they do this. But I love 1, 3, 6, and 9. 8 past the hour, by the way. That's a big radio. You ever hear radio, guys? 8 past the hour. But I love that. I love this format. I love it. I know I got a lot of brushback from some people too about it's not fair that you don't get a home game. Well, things are not always fair. It's basically the play-in game now. They got rid of that. So the 5 and 6 teams don't get home games. I mean, you got to play better. It dangles the carrot. I said this, I think yesterday. I was thinking it. If I didn't say it, I'll have to go back and watch. But I didn't feel like yeah, I did because we got some comments on it. I didn't feel like my feelings about Game 1 with Crochet felt any different than if it was at Fenway or Yankee Stadium. Same confidence level. And same level of the Yankees could have come into Fenway and beat him. You know what I mean? So I think when you have an ace and just watching Skubal pitch, it really doesn't matter where they pitch. Oh, that was just fantastic. This is why Eaton and Sogard are in the bigs. I know a lot of you were asking me over and over about Campbell and Garcia. These guys know how to play the game the right way. Campbell does not tag up and go to second on that. He does not leg out that double. He probably doesn't even get on base. Nick Sogard, fundamentally, he's a switch hitter. He's light years better. When you're asking for guys on the bench, they can't be high upside prospects and let's see and hope. That's not the kind of team you have. This was a playoff team. This is a team that's been good, so you want guys in the big leagues that have special traits. And Nick Sogard on the postgame was like, yeah, this is fun. I mean, no big deal. This is why postseason is special too. And on the other side, Anthony Volpe had a good game. He had 2 hits. He had a home run off Crochet. He got them off to a 1-0 lead. He's been scrutinized a lot. But, we were talking about, who's the clicks to pick. And many of you were talking about you need your guys. And Bregman had 2 hits. You definitely need that, Bregman and Story. But you always need that, other X factor. And the fact that Sogard had 2 hits and a double, love the base running, and that Nate Eaton had that little double that he hit down the right field line, he's going to give you good defense. But the other 2 guys, plus Garcia's hurt, but Campbell serves no purpose right now. These guys do. Sogard can play anywhere on the diamond. Eaton can as well. And this is where you have to trust. It's like at your job. You know what people are good. These guys are with these guys all the time. Like I get why people were down on Yoshida. I get it. I just tried to bring light to it that I think a lot of expectations for him were unfair because he hadn't played. Like I don't know what people were expecting. And it did not look good, and I get that. And I get if it got to a certain point, I would have been like, yeah, okay, maybe he needs to not be on the roster. But I just looked at how Story played after he was hurt, and I see it in the big leagues. Mike Trout's just not the same. I know he was better at the end, but I follow a lot of Major League Baseball and players, and I've seen it more and more. When these guys get hurt, no matter what kind of status they are, big star, it takes time. That's why spring training is where it's at. People wonder. They need those at bats. So, but are you already? If you're me, you can't wait. You want it to be 6:08 or wherever you are watching. All right, Carl Uberson 3777. It's going to be about pitching. We need good pitching. Look what Washington did a few years ago. We need pitching like that. Yeah, it always is. You can't win any other way. We've seen offenses light years better than the Red Sox not win a game in postseason. I remember Jose Canseco and Mo Vaughn went, a combined 0 for 28. They didn't sniff a game against the 88 and 90 A's. Good offenses, right? Yeah, no prayer in those. At Grant Knowles, 6336. I don't care how deep the Sox go. You must not be a Sox fan, I guess. But taking the Yankees out would be a great end to the season. Let me know. I'm assuming you're not a Sox fan, because if you're a Sox fan, you absolutely care how far they go. I do. I want to watch more of this baseball. I think a series against Toronto would be, again, that would be epic. At Michael Murphy, 7692. I'd rather have a power left-hander to go at Yankee Stadium than at Fenway. I don't agree with that. What has Crochet done at Fenway that I don't think it matters? You can swing late at Volpe's home run went to right. Right-handed hitter. They're big leaguers. They go to right field. I'm confident. Crochet was 5-3 at home, 14 starts, 3.02. He was better on the road, 2.25. I don't care. I really don't. He's a beast. Absolute beast. And you got Bayo and Rodon tonight, and I'm assuming the Red Sox will stick with that lineup. This is something that Alex Cora talked about. He loves having those options off the bench. And I would think it's going to be the same lineup, right? I don't think they would change anything. He said that even with, Wong being the personal catcher of Narvaez, that and he walked 3 times, by the way, that he'll catch tonight. But I think that's going to be the same lineup tonight, and I'm all for it. All right, before you head out, please leave your comments for our first day of October. It's nice doing the show October 1st. Subscribe to the channel on your way out. Follow me on my socials at The Radio Mike. Enjoy the ball game tonight. Can't wait to talk about it on Thursday morning. Red Sox and Yankees. Sox going for the series tonight at 6:08. Bayo, Rodon on the hill. Have a great day and go Sox.